I'm Danielle, and I'm bisexual, and I produce those intimate stories for restless hearts, those ones that make you question everything and think, those ones that make you sometimes wanna drink.
And tonight I present to you episode 3, which is our penultimate episode here of Under Candlelight, still in 1950s France. And tonight there is going to be a young French art student from l'École des Beaux-Arts who is going to become very interested in some of Alain Duval's paintings.
Spring, 1983. It was the first warm day of the year, the kind of Paris afternoon that makes the city shimmer with forgiveness. André sat at a small café on Rue Bonaparte, reading the paper without really seeing it. He had become something of a quiet fixture in the neighborhood, a retired man with impeccable manners, always dressed neatly, always alone. That was when he approached him. André looked up. A young man stood before him, no more than 22. He wore a corduroy jacket and carried a sketchbook under his arm. His hair fell into his eyes. "Excuse me," he said in careful French. "You're Monsieur Laurent, yes? You were a friend of the painter Alain Duval?" He looked up, startled. The name hit him like a forgotten melody. "Yes," he said, "a long time ago." The young man introduced himself. Julien Marchand, a student at the École des Beaux-Arts. He had been researching forgotten queer artists of mid-century France, and Alain's name kept appearing. Never in books, but in footnotes, gallery inventories, and private letters. "I found correspondence," Julien said softly. "Drafts he never sent. They mentioned someone named A. I think that was you." André's throat tightened. He forced a smile. He always had a way of saying too much without ever saying it. They spoke for over an hour. Julien's enthusiasm was unfiltered but kind. He spoke of Alain's final works, now being quietly rediscovered, haunting canvases of two male figures, painted in muted golds and silvers, always just out of reach. When Julien asked what Alain had been like, he answered simply, "He painted like he loved, quietly, completely, and as if it were a sin." Brussels, 1975, years earlier. He had grown tired of cities, of pretending. The flat in Brussels was bare except for an easel and a window facing the grey river. Alain painted every day, not for galleries, but for himself, for the man he could not write to anymore. Some days he painted landscapes, bridges over mist, candlelit dinners turned into abstractions of gold and shadow. Other days he painted only hands, two men's hands almost touching, never quite meeting. In his final years, his work became something like prayer, each brush stroke a confession. He once wrote in his journal, "Love, when forbidden, does not die. It transforms. It hides inside art, inside silence, inside color." He died quietly one winter morning, the unfinished canvas still wet. Two figures walking through fog, their shadows touching where their hands could not. Later that night after Julien left, André walked to the Seine again. He stood where they had once stood, the lamps flickering gold in the distance. He imagined Alain there, paint on his fingers, smiling faintly in that way he always did when he was trying not to say too much. "Your art found its way back," André whispered. "You did." The wind off the water stirred his coat, cool and soft, like a familiar hand resting on his shoulder. And for a fleeting second, André could almost hear Alain's voice behind him. then so have you. The museum basement smelled of dust and turpentine, the ghosts of 100 forgotten artists whispering in silence. Julian had spent weeks cataloging anonymous works from a private collection recently donated to the city. The crates bore faded labels, many from Brussels, dated in the 1970s. He was tired, covered in flecks of varnish and chalk, when he saw it. A canvas wrapped in brown paper, unsigned. The handwriting on the label read simply, Hiver sans nom, winter without a name. He unwrapped it slowly. The surface shimmered under the dim light. A winter landscape, but almost abstract. 2 figures walked through fog toward a river, familiar shapes rendered in layers of gray, white, and gold. Between them, a small glimmer, a candle, or perhaps the last trace of daylight. Julian's chest tightened. He had seen this before, not this exact painting, but its spirit, in sketches, in fragments, in the unfinished works Alain Duval had left behind. He leaned closer. There, hidden beneath the paint, faint but unmistakable, were the outlines of 2 faces overlapping, transparent as smoke, Alain's and another man's. And on the lower edge, nearly erased, were words written into the paint itself, in the smallest script imaginable. Pour A-L à jamais. For A-L forever. Julien sat back, trembling. He whispered the name aloud. André Laurent. He realized then that this wasn't just a painting. It was a confession, a love letter written in color, meant for one man, buried for decades beneath time and shame. That evening, Julien went to see André. He found him sitting on the terrace of the same café, the same table by the window. The older man looked up and smiled faintly when Julien arrived, as if he had been expecting him. I found it, Julien said. André didn't ask what. He only nodded once, quietly, and said, Describe it to me. Julien told him everything, the river, the fog, the faces, the hidden inscription. André listened without moving, his eyes shining. When Julien finished, there was a long silence. Then André whispered almost inaudibly,
He never forgot us. He spent his life giving life to what mattered to him most.
Julien hesitated.
He loved you, very much indeed.
André smiled sadly.
Through his art, you have given him back his voice. This is something so very special. We were never able to love when he was alive, and so the art tells a story. Our story. People take for granted the fact that they can tell each other how they feel, what they are thinking, etc. But we were never able to do that in this life.
They sat there for a long time, the city glowing gold around them. When Julien left, André reached across the table and touched his arm, not as a farewell, but as a benediction.
Promise me this, Julien. When they hang our painting in the gallery, please do not call it Winter Without a Name. Somehow, I don't think our Alain will like that very much.
Julien tilted his head.
Oh, but of course not, sir. But what do you wish me to call it?
André's smile deepened. Gentle, almost secret.
I think you should call it Sous les chandelles. That's how it all started, at a dinner table over candlelight all those years ago. He was just incredible, was Alain. An incredible painter, an incredible person. He is no longer here now. But whenever I see the beautiful flowers, or smell the rain outside, or hear those early morning birds at dawn, which he loved so very much, whenever I see his paintings, I feel his spirit.